Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now, just a reminder, this is part 2 of today's today's discussions, but it's unrelated to the previous part, so you can listen to this one as a standalone. But just telling you guys because I'm going to try and be quick with this one because I've already spent a lot of time in the last one. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is Surah Noor, ayah 35. Allahu Noorus samawati wal ard. Allah is the Noor of this, the samawat, the skies, the heavens, wal ard, and the earth. مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح. مثل نوره. Now the example of this Noor, of his Noor, is like a kamishkatin, is like a mishkat. A mishkat is like, basically, I know most of you wouldn't have seen it. I haven't actually seen it in real life as well. I've just seen illustrations. Basically, back when they had like oil lamps or lanterns, what they had were these sort of pockets in the wall, and they were like, basically, have you seen the arch shape that we normally, when we do illustrations, we see for masjids, or like that arch that, it's pointy at the top, but then like it sort of like becomes a constant width at the bottom. Just generally like an arch, basically an arch shape. It's sort of like an arch shape in the wall, and you can put the lantern or the oil lamp in there, and what it basically does is it creates sort of like the walls around it reflect the light, so it sort of reaches everywhere. So that's a mishkat. So mathalu nurihi, the example of his nur, is like a mishkat fiha misbah, within which is a lamp, is a misbah. Al misbahu fi zujaja, and the lamp, it is in what do you call it? It is in like a, what is a fanus? Chandelier is not the right word for it. Basically, it's sort of like in a glass covering. So you know how like you can light a fire, like you can light a candle, right? And that's gonna give light. But then when you put like the lamp glass over it, the glass is shaped in a way that it sort of amplifies, not amplifies, but like it spreads the light everywhere, right? So that is zujaja, that glass is the zujaja. So mathalu nurihi, the example of his nur, is like a mishkat, an arch, a taq, within which is a misbah, a lamp, an oil lamp. Al misbahu fi zujaja, and that lamp, it is in zujaja, it is in that glass covering. الزجاجة كأنها كوكب ضري يوقد من شجرة مباركة. Now, and that zujaja, that glass, كأنها, it is as if, it is like كوكب, a star, ضري, that is shining, right? And it is like, it is very clear, it's crystal clear, and with the light that is present in it, it like shines bright like a star. يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة. And this zujaja, what it's being lit up with is oil from a tree. And this is not any tree. It is شجرة مباركة زيتونة. It is a tree. It is a mubarak tree. It is a blessed tree, and it is a zaytun tree. And if I'm not wrong, zaytun is olive, right? Let's see. Yeah, a blessed olive tree, basically. شجرة مباركة زيتونة. لا شرقية ولا غربية. It is neither a an eastward tree, nor a westward tree. And I'll explain this in a bit. يكاد زيتها يكاد زيتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه نار. And even, from the oil that we get from this tree, even if it's just brought close to a fire, a flame, and it hasn't, like, the flame doesn't even touch it. لم تمسسه نار. The flame hasn't even touched it yet. It lights up, it burns. It's like so desperate to burn that it burns right as the flame is even brought near it. Doesn't even have to touch it, right? Like how, gasoline or petrol, if you like even bring a match or a spark near it, it catches on to fire. You don't even need to touch it, right? So like that. يكاد زيتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه نار. And it lights up the oil, the oil of this tree, it lights up even without the fire touching it. يهدي الله لنوره من يشاء. And Allah guides with His Noor من يشاء, whoever He wills. So right, Allah has Noor, and He will give guidance with His Noor to whoever He wants. Or another translation would be, He would guide towards His Noor whoever He wants. وَيَضْرِبُ اللَّهُ الْأَمْثَالَ لِلنَّاسِ. And Allah is Allah is giving an example لِلنَّاسِ, for the people. وَاللَّهُ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عَلِيمٍ. And indeed Allah is knowing of everything, of all things. بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ, كُلِّ شَيْءٍ, right? Everything. Now, let's understand this ayah. This is a really profound ayah if you truly understand it. Allahu Noorus samawati wal ard. Right? All the Noor in the heavens and the earth, it is due to Allah. It is by Allah. It is because of Allah. Allah has created it. So all that Noor, this is simple. Mathalu Noorihi. Now, how is this Noor? Like, describing the description of this Noor is if we put it into order, a misbah, which is in a zujaja, which is in a mishkat. So a lamp, a fire, essentially, which is within that lamp glass, that clear glass, which is in that arch-shaped window type thing, right, where the lamp is put. Now, to understand this, the arch shape, if you look at the shape of your rib cage, it is oddly similar to an arch, right? It starts off kind of vertical, but then towards the top it meets and it's sort of pointed. It's like an arch, basically, right? So that's the mishkat. And in this mishkat is then a misbah within a zujaja, right? So what is this? Like, the lamp is essentially the fitrah. And what is the fitrah? Fitrah is basically your innate nature that Allah has created you upon. So, that hadith about every baby, every child is born Muslim, but then their parents and their environment makes them, Christian or Jewish or like Sabian or whatever. I don't remember the exact wordings of the hadith. But basically, like, every child is born Muslim, right? What does that mean? Every child is born upon the fitrah. The fitrah is something that Allah has, it's this nature that Allah has created insan upon, right? So, like, you just by nature know that's, like, right from wrong, essentially, right? You know by nature that lying is wrong. You know by nature that stealing is wrong. You know by nature that harming someone or, hitting someone or killing someone is wrong. Even if no one tells you, you would still know that. Like, you know how kids, they're so innocent, and they're so, and they know. A kid, I'll give a personal example of this. um, my sister, she's 6 years old, and basically where my family goes to Taraweeh, they have a separate area for the kids, and they like keep the kids in that area. They don't let them exit there because the kids cause disturbance in the prayer area for the rest of the people. So now my sister, she wanted to exit from there. She wanted to go to my mother, who was in the prayer area. And but the organizer there, she wouldn't let her. And so she lied to her. She was like, I'm just going to the bathroom. And then she went to my mother. And like, she instinctively just knew that this was wrong. Why? Because when she came to my mother, after a while, she by herself said, I lied to come here. Like, she had that guilty conscience in her that she had to tell. She had, it was like, I did this wrong. I need to tell someone. I need to confess. So that guilty conscience, that is fitrah. Everyone, like, you are born knowing what is right and wrong. Now, based on your environment, based on your actions, based on your upbringing, that can get clouded. That can get covered up. The fitrah can get corrupted, right? In the sense that you no longer see right from wrong. You no longer feel that, if you, like, initially you know that lying is wrong, but you keep lying. You keep lying, you keep lying, you keep lying. There'll come a point where you'll get used to lying. It'll just be a habit for you. You won't even feel that you're doing something wrong. It'll just be normal, right? So, even though you're born upon that fitrah, that lying is wrong, it can get corrupted. So, just like all those things are in fitrah, the urge to worship Allah, to worship one God, is also in fitrah, right? That is the fitrah, that is the nature Allah has created insan upon. And that is what this misbah is, this lamp inside a person is, right? And what is zujaja? Zujaja is the heart. Because the heart is what is basically the fitrah is put in, right? Islam puts a great emphasis on the heart. In secular psychology and sociology and whatnot, they'll teach you that the brain is everything, right? The brain and, the hormones and the electrical signals and, all that. Islam places an emphasis on the heart, on the qalb, right? The qalb is where your ruh is, where your fitrah is, where where iman is in the qalb and kufr is in the qalb as well. Both those things have to do with the qalb. It has very little to do with the head. Okay, think how we normally make the distinction of qalb versus sorry. The normal distinction we make between heart and mind is that the heart is the emotional one and the mind is the logical one, right? Just keeping that same definition. If we see, like I say, that iman and kufr has to do more with the heart than it has to do with the mind. Why? Think back to the story of Abu Talib that I mentioned. At the end of his life, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying to him, "Oh uncle, just say in my ear that you accept Islam. Just say the Shahada in my ear. Say La ilaha illallah. So that I can, testify on the Day of Judgment that you died a Muslim." What did he say? He said, "Oh nephew, I know what you're saying is the truth. I know what you're inviting towards is the true deen. but I can't have the women of Quraysh say that he accepted Islam out of fear of death. I can't have them say that. I can't give them the chance to say that. So he knew full well in his mind, logically, he knew that this was the right path. He if Iman had to do with logic and with his mind, then his mind was convinced. What wasn't convinced? His heart. Iman wasn't in his heart. So that is, that's why there's such an emphasis on the qalb in Islam. Anyways, getting back to the topic. So yeah, this misbah, this lamp is the fitrah. It is within the zujaja, the glass. That glass is the qalb, the heart. And this whole thing, the misbah and the zujaja, all of this is within a mishkat, an arch. And that arch is your rib cage, your chest, right? Now, Allah is saying, كَأَنَّهَا كَوْكَبٌ دُرِّيٌّ يُوقَدُ كَأَنَّهَا كَوْكَبٌ دُرِّيٌّ. It is as if it is a star shining very brightly. Actually, before we go to the star, this zujaja is, it's a clear, like, we're saying that it's a clear glass, right? But glass can also get dirty, right? And relate this to the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he said, whenever someone sins, right, whenever they commit a sin, a black dot is placed on their heart. If they repent, that dot is taken away, it's erased. But if they don't repent, then it's made permanent. And every time they sin, a new black dot is added until the entire heart turns black. Now, take this example and consider a glass lamp. A glass lamp, initially it's clear. Initially, the fitrah can see out and it can shine its light outside very clearly. But then you sin and a black dot is placed. And then you sin again and another black dot is placed. And you sin again and again and again. And eventually, the entire glass is black. It's blacked out. The noor of that fitrah, the light of that fitrah, can't go out anymore. It cannot illuminate anything, right? So that is the point, that even though initially someone is born on fitrah, the child is born on fitrah, but then, they're born Muslim. But then once, they're brought up and they see what's happening around them, they get used to lying, or they see that their parents worship idols, or, whatever else, that it starts to overshadow, that it starts to black out that zujaja, that glass lamp. And the noor of fitrah, it starts to be constricted. It starts to be restricted inside that. So, now, الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري. This zujaja, it's as if a star that is shining very brightly. Now this is before anything's been corrupted, right? It's fresh, it's clean, it's clear, it's crystal clear. And it's shining very brightly. It's shining as if it's a star. And where is it getting this light from? This light is يوقد من شجرة مباركة. يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة. It's being lit up. It's being illuminated from a blessed olive tree. لا شرقية ولا غربية. لا شرقية ولا غربية. It was neither an eastward tree nor a westward tree. What does this mean? Well, consider trees in a group, right? So the eastward tree would get the sunlight when the sun is in the when the sun rises, like at the morning time, it would get the sunlight when it's coming from the east. But towards the afternoon or the evening, when the sun goes towards the west, then the light would be blocked out by other trees, right? Similarly, westward, it would only get the sunlight when the sun is in the west, not in the east, right? But a tree that is neither, it's la sharqiyyatin wa la gharbiyya, it's neither eastward nor westward, then that tree is gonna get like the sunlight all day. It's gonna get all the sunlight, right? It's gonna be able to absorb all the energy. So it's gonna be a very, it's gonna have the most. It's gonna be the most. It's gonna be the best, most qualitative tree, and kind of the most energy stored, right? يكاد زيتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه نار. Now, the oil that is extracted from this tree, it will have so much energy. It will be so potent. It will be so willing to burn that you won't even need to bring a fire close to it. You won't even have to touch it. You just bring it close and it immediately lights on fire. As if it was, it was desperate to burn. Right? Now, let's relate this. What is all this? First of all, this tree, the oil from this tree, this is all Noor fitrah, right? So the fitrah that is neither eastward nor westward, it's pure, it's getting energy from all sides, it's being nurtured well, right? That the energy and the piety that fitrah will have, that ruh will have, even without any divine guidance, just on its own, it will be very pure, right? And it will be dying, it will be desperate to get some guidance somewhere, right? And then this وَلَوْ لَمْ تَمْسَسْهُ نَارٌ, that this fire that's being brought, that this spark that is being brought near it, this fire is the wahi, the divine guidance, what Allah, the book of Allah, basically, right? So when the book of Allah meets this inner fitrah, the oil, this very desperate to burn oil, it burns immediately, and it gives off so much light, it shines like a star. Allah says, Noorun-ala-Noor, Noor upon Noor, light upon light, right? So what are these two Noors? One is the Noor fitrah, right? The Noor of the fitrah, the light of the fitrah, of the pure fitrah, one which hasn't been corrupted. It didn't. It was la sharqiyyatin wa la gharbiyya. It received all the energy, all the nourishment it received, but it didn't receive the deficits, right? So this Noor that was nurtured, when this meets the Noor wahi, the Noor of the book of Allah, the revelation of Allah, then it will combine so vigorously, so energetically, it will be Noorun-ala-Noor, Noor upon Noor, right? And Yahdillahu li noorihi man yasha. Allah will guide towards this Noor, for this Noor, whoever He wills, right? Allah will guide with this Noor whoever He wills. وَيَضْرِبُ اللَّهُ الْأَمْثَالَ لِلنَّاسِ. Allah is giving an example. Allah is presenting an example for the people. Look at how beautiful of an example. A misbah within a zujaja, within a mishkat, and the shajaratin mubarakatin zaytuna la sharqiyyatin wa la gharbiyya. How beautiful, how intricate, how complex, but so, like, it's so complex, it's so beautiful of an example. This example Allah is presenting, that if you truly think about it, who could have come up with such a beautiful example? Wallahu bikulli shay'in alim. Indeed, Allah is all knowing of everything. He knows everything, every single thing He is aware of. Right? So this is, and let me give you a real life example. Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. What Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is a hadith. He said, everyone I presented Islam to hesitated a little bit. They took some time, they thought about it, they were like, we'll think about it, we'll consider it. They asked some questions, they showed some doubt. Except Abu Bakr. I presented, it was as if he was, these are not exact hadith words, don't quote me on this, right? But it was as if he was waiting for it, right? He was just waiting for the message to be presented and for him to accept. He was like, Abu Bakr did not hesitate even a little bit. No questions, no doubts, no request for time, no time to think, nothing. Accepted right then and there. This is the example of Noorun-ala-Noor. This is the example of يَكَادُ زَيْتُهَا يُضِيءُ وَلَوْ لَمْ تَمْسَسْهُ نَارٌ. That the fire, the spark doesn't even need to touch. It just has to be present and it will be accepted. It will burn. The oil will burn. That was the Noor of fitrah. The purest Noor of fitrah. Right? It was so pure. It was just waiting for something to show up and him to accept. And then look at the look at the power of this Noorun-ala-Noor, the light upon light. The Ashra Mubashra, the 10 blessed companions, right? The ones who were given the, what do you call it? They were told that they were given the glad tiding, the bashara of Jannah in this life. They were guaranteed Jannah, that you and you're entering Jannah, guaranteed. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave this guarantee. Out of those 10, 6 were the Sahaba that were invited to Islam by Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. And 7th himself. 7 out of 10. That is Noorun-ala-Noor. Yahdillahu li noorihi man yasha. Allah guides with His Noor, to His Noor, for His Noor, whomever He wants. Whomever. And when He guides, wallahi, there's no end to His guidance. There's no extent, there's no limit. It's Noorun-ala-Noor. It's light upon light. So this is such a, like, honestly, if you think about it, such an intricate, such a beautiful, such a well-crafted example. Who could have come up with this other than Allah? How could a human have come up with this? Like, we study poetry, both English and Urdu, and so much in Urdu actually, like for school. But honestly, doesn't even come close. This is, imagine this is what I've told you. This is still a very surface level explanation. But yet look at the beauty of it. This is the Quran. This is the beauty of the Quran, right? And so other than this, we've look at the beauty, right? The message to gain from this. The Noor-e-Wahi is here. The Quran is present, right? If it's not affecting your heart, if you read the Quran and you're not getting guidance, if you are reading the Quran and it's not, if the conditions that Quran puts for the mu'mineen, that, their hearts tremble when the ayat are recited to them and it increases them in their iman, if that isn't happening, then, well, the Noor-e-Wahi is present. So the only thing missing can be Noor-e-Fitrah, right? Means you need to clean that glass of your heart. that glass has become cloudy, it's becoming black. You need to clean it out. You need to repent. You need to fix, you need to revert back to your fitrah. Stop sinning. Your fitrah, something, you know, no matter how much you sin, like, no matter how much you sin, every time you sin, no matter how faint, there will be a voice in the back of your head, in the back of your heart actually, that will say, don't do this, this is wrong. Somewhere in the back, no matter how faint, how, silent it is, it's going to be present. That is your fitrah. Listen to it. Start listening to it. That is what's going to strengthen it. That is what's going to revive it. And when that Noor fitrah is revived, when that Noor fitrah is, getting back to its original condition, then when it meets Noor wahi, then it's going to be Noorun-ala-Noor. Then it's going to be Noorun-ala-Noor. Then you're going to see the light all around you. And one last point I'd like to mention is, how do we see, right? Like in physical terms, physiological terms, we see something because light hits it and enters our eye, right? Because there's light around, right? If there's no light, you can't see anything. Even if your eyes are working perfectly, even if there's no light, you can't see anything. Similarly, even if there is light around, but your eyes aren't working, if you lose your eyesight, then you can't see anything, right? So it's a two-factor thing. The light has to be present around you, and you must possess the light of your eye as well. You must be able to see as well, right? Similarly, for this, the light is present around you. The Quran is the Noor wahi is present. You need to fix the Noor fitrah. You need to fix the eye of your heart. You need to make sure that you aren't losing the eyesight of that, the vision of that. You don't want to, they see but they are blind. You don't want to fulfill that prophecy, right? So you need to clean that. You need to restore the light of your eye so that the Noor wahi can enter, so that you're able to see everything around you, so that you are able to access the hidayah, so that you are able to recognize the reality and the truth of the world and the life and everything around you. Basically, this Quran is here to show. It's called Al-Furqan. It differentiates right from wrong, right? It can't differentiate right from wrong if you're not willing to see. And to see, you need to clear out that glass. You need to clean it up so that light can pass through it and light can enter it. Because until light passes through it and light enters it, you're not going to be able to see anything. So that is the guidance for us in these ayat, that, clear up those glasses, clean that glass, clean that lamp, and then let Noor wahi enter. May Allah guide us all. May Allah help us truly cleanse the zujaja and our hearts, and may Allah truly choose to guide us and choose us for service of His deen, and choose us to be able to fix our lives and to work for the establishment of His deen. Jazakumullahu khair. Assalamu alaikum.